All right, finally getting around to a recap video on SCL Cyprus. Just been kind of crazy. Like whenever I get back from these, that's why I'm not active on YouTube immediately after. I just like get really focused on work and stuff. I want to make it clear that doing this sport and taking time off to do it doesn't impact work. So I was right back to work, right back in the gym. So like got the video up. After that, I didn't even charge my camera for a few days. So yeah, we're back, back to training. Cyprus, if you watched anything on my Instagram, it was amazing. And if you watched the vlog, it was such a good time. The organizers, everyone, like it's too many people to name right now, but it was great. The crowd was amazing. We really got that place bumping. The location couldn't have been better. You know, it was super public area surrounded by bars and restaurants. So people just like heard the commotion and came by and they were into it. So anyway, event one, my worst placing of the show, it was the truck pull. I just need to practice that. So that's what I was doing yesterday. Actually, I was doing some truck pull at my cousin's nice enough to let me pull the trucks there. So now I have two places to pull trucks, my friend Steve's and my cousin's. So that's super helpful. It's really just an exposure thing. Like I've trained on sleds a lot. I've trained things that mimic a truck pull, but none of them have the start that's like a truck pull where you have to sit there and kind of grind it out. Things just kind of take off and it feels more like the mid-range of the truck pull that I'm used to. So that's what I've been training now, is just starts, because what ended up happening, or my theory, is I switched to faster steps too early. So like you do the jump start, and then I should have sat there and kind of grinded out a few longer steps before switching to the faster steps. So it's like the truck wasn't even really moving yet, and I was already just like almost trying to sprint, and it ended up not working. Like if I just sat there and kind of grinded out like 5-6 steps, got some momentum, and then sped the steps up, it would have gone a lot better. And the times were pretty close. Like I really only need to get a tiny, literally like half a second better, and it would have bumped me up a few places. I'm pretty sure. I haven't looked at the scores in a while, but I know that it was close. So it's not like I like royally messed it up, right? It was like I was barely off, but those minor adjustments could have closed that gap. Because obviously I have the horsepower to do it, right? Event two, this turns out, I found out in Finland that this is actually a good event for me, the front hold. I didn't see that coming in the past just because I've had so many, sorry, I'm trying to get, my arm's getting tired. I didn't see that coming in the past just because of all my shoulder problems, but now that I've been training them so hard to get them to catch up to the rest of my lifts, it's actually a good event for me. I do think I could have placed better on this. It was unfortunately just a miscommunication, like it was my fault. Like I didn't understand what the judge was saying to me, and like a smart competitor would have just held it until people made me stop, you know? And I was trying to figure out like what the instructions were, and the other guy dropped it and I heard a whistle, and I thought maybe it was a whistle for just the whole heat to end. And so I moved it down like a couple inches. Like you'll see, it's like you could tell I had more time, and I just put it down. It was unfortunate. It's my fault. So like going forward, if I don't know what's going on, I'm just going to keep holding it. You know what I mean? Because like that whistle wasn't for me. It was for George, and like whatever, you know, it's just like, now I know, right? I'm in a front hold. Just hold it until people literally make me stop if I don't know what's going on. But yeah, it would have been a good event. Still, I got pretty good points, but I think I could have got at least a few more seconds there. What else? So then this is when things started to get better for me. So then we had the bag carry. It was like carry and load onto the truck. This is something I'm good at, but I was very nervous going into this event, because it was like I woke up really late. I was out kind of late the night before, and I woke up late and my hydration was off, and I really only had like 2 hours to get to the venue, hydrate, eat. So I felt like I was dehydrated. It was 85 degrees in the sun where we were competing, and I was just dumping sweat the first two events. I was like dipping bananas in salt and eating them and drinking these things. Oshi, it's kind of like a Gatorade over there. You name it. Like I was doing everything I could to get hydrated, but I just wasn't confident that I was hydrated at all. So I went about like RPE 7, 8, just because I felt like the injury risk for me at that point in time, the sun was just starting to go down. And it was just high. Like if I rushed through that, I was taking major risks with my body, and it might not have been true, but I dropped 2-3 places, but my arms are still attached. I'll take it, And same thing, that's on me. I gotta just keep focusing on. I mean, at the same time, I protected myself, but I could have had a better time with a little more hustle on the run back and picking the bags up faster, etc. Right. But it still was like middle of the group time, it wasn't bad, but it was far from bad. So yeah, I mean, it just is what it is. You're competing in the heat and you're trying to stay safe while still being competitive. And that's what we got. And these guys are just unbelievably fast. Like that time that I got, like that would have held up in most contests. These guys are just ridiculous. Like when you see the video of my heat, like George was so far ahead of me, it was kind of crazy. Like he's really good at that, and then this is when it really got better. So then I have the log press event that I won. I've been training log so hard, right? Like it's just been kind of the bane of my existence for a couple of years. Cause like I mentioned, I had like my shoulder problems. I was always, people like, oh, press is your weakness. Your press is your weakness. And it's like, it was true until now. Now it's not. So after all this time, maybe the past year, I've really dedicated to like getting my shoulders healthy and pushing my pressing ability and doing everything it takes. And finally paid off. I won an event at an international show with a bunch of good people in the log press for reps. I felt great. Like I only needed, I needed 7 to win the event, 6 to tie. And after that 6th rep, I still had plenty of time. Like if I didn't need 7, I feel pretty confident that I could have fit 8, which is crazy, nothing against the other guys. I've been working ridiculously hard on it, and by that time, so the sun went down. I'd been continuously working on my hydration. I was really starting to come around and feel better. Like the heat wasn't getting to me at that point. And it never really got to me. It was more mentally. Like I was just like, am I hydrated enough, right? So I sweat like crazy, if you know me. Yeah, that event felt awesome. It felt just dialed. And that was a weird log too. That log was like it had a lot of rotational weight. Like when you see the log, all the weights are on the side and they're bigger than the actual log. So it rolled crazy. Like when you rolled it, it wanted to keep rolling, right? It was kind of like a wild bull that you're kind of riding, controlling that log. It wasn't like a pit bull log in the USA where you can just kind of like, you can just whip it around, right? That thing, you were kind of along for the ride with it. So really happy, especially with that log, right? Final event, stones, super cool how it ended, right? Because I don't have access at my gym to any stones over 370. Our 370 is a very odd shape, so it's harder. And I think that helps me with my stones. Like you have to be pretty dialed with stone lifting to even be able to lift that, because it just catches your body weird. You have to extend harder. If the thing feels like it's 450 pounds, but it's 370. So the final stone was 440. So that was a huge PR for me. I've done a 400 for reps in the past, so I felt strongly that I could do it. And but I didn't know. You never know. It's strongman. It's the last event of the day, right? And also I was super nervous going into this because I thought I put my tacky on early, which I did. The event was moving a little bit slower than I expected, and just because they had to reset the stones, and it was cool. It was cool of them. The reason it took longer, they let every athlete go out and set the stones up the way they wanted and like tacky the stones before you start the event. You didn't have to just go out there and rip it, like play it as where it lies, right? You get to go out there and set them up. So, but because of that, I put my tacky on like really early. And if tacky, when it's on your body too long, especially, the sun was down, but it was probably 82, 83 degrees Fahrenheit. So it was still hot. My body's hot. It's hot out. And the tacky was heating up just from my body heat. And what happens is it gets slippery. So instead of being tacky, it becomes the opposite. It starts working against you. And I ran out and I'm like, I was like waving my arms around like, oh my God, I need to try and like make this tacky work, right? And first stone, it slipped a little bit and I was like, oh boy, you know, we're in trouble here. And then the second stone, it slipped a little bit. And then once I got to the third stone, it felt perfect. All of a sudden I was sticking to the stones. I was like, oh, thank God, you know? And then the fourth stone, perfect. Then the last stone, that 440, I just attacked it. I'm like, lift it like you know you can lift it. Because I did kind of know, right? 400 for reps, you got a 440 probably. And just what I squat and what I deadlift, it wouldn't make sense for me to be able to do it. So I just jumped right on it. I didn't take a second. I don't think I even re-tackied my hands. I just picked it right up and loaded it, and it felt easy. I didn't know points-wise what that would do. I think I was in either, I can't remember, I knew I was in either fourth or fifth going to that event, and only Kane and George had hit all of the stones at that point. I think we were the only ones that hit them in the show in general. I forget if they went before me or not. But all I knew was like people were telling me if you just hit all the stones, you might get on the podium. So like make sure you hit all the stones. Like don't spaz through it, right? Just hit the stones. And they were right, because I think I was third place for time for loading all the stones, but we were the only 3 people that loaded all of them. So yeah, that was good advice, right? Because like George and Kane just like destroyed them. Like, and, like I didn't want to go at that pace, not knowing if I could lift the last stone or not, right? So, and yeah, it's the same thing. Tacky stuck great on that last stone, went up easy, and that was it. Turns out I was a half a point off the podium, so I was in fourth by a half a point, but that's strongman. And just looking back on the show, really the things that happen, like I had the potential that show for the podium. It was just inexperience that took me off of it, right? Like I just don't have enough truck pull training. Now I feel a lot better, because this week I just watched tapes. Like I watched Kelvin, he's a great truck puller. I just watched this video of Kelvin over and over and over again, and like tried to watch his timing with what he did with his hands and his feet. And that's what I was drilling this week. And I watched my own tape, right? And then, so my truck pull hypothetically should be a lot better in South Africa. And then the front hold, same thing. Just like now I know if I'm confused about what's going on, just keep holding it. Don't put it down. I should have known better, right? Like I was confused and I lowered it. Like, what can you do? You know, but if those two things had went better, which aren't even necessarily like a get stronger thing, like getting smarter with competing is quick and easy to fix. I already fixed it. Getting stronger, it takes longer. So it's like, for me to get on the podium that show, I didn't need to get stronger. I just needed to be better at competing in those events. So that's, ideally we already cleaned that up. So we'll see. What's coming next? It's South Africa. So SCL South Africa, that's next weekend. So I'm going to take off this week after work, and crazy situation there. I don't want to give away the details, but there's a possibility that I could maybe, depending on how South Africa goes, I could sneak into the World Championship in Turkey. So that's what's up next. I'm still on the roster for OSG. I plan to do that too. I might have to negotiate with work. You know, it's been a lot of time off this year, but maybe some remote work, right? While I'm doing that. But yeah, we'll see. South Africa, the events are pretty good for me, but they're good for everyone else too. That's the thing at this level, everyone's good at everything. So you can't really go into a show like, oh, these are my events. It's like, yeah, they're everybody's events. Everybody's good at everything. You know what I mean? So we'll see. That's strongman. You never know what's going to happen. But if I place well, you might see me at World Championship in Turkey. So, and that would be the following week. So what would happen is I'd probably just go straight from Africa to Turkey to compete again. Yeah, that's my SCL Cyprus recap and my plans for what's coming up next. And I'm going to charge my camera today, so you'll actually get normal YouTube videos from me again, starting my training tomorrow.